organic. The conversations that we have, they're not scripted, nobody rehearsed it. Number one, that you have the power. You have it. And the only reason you might feel like you don't have it is because at some point you might have given it away.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, AJ. We back. Unscripted Conversations. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Why would you not? We international with it. As of today, we got listeners all the way from Germany. So I appreciate whoever told their German brother or sister, auntie, niece, nephew, uncle, cousin, whatever about the show. You much appreciate it. And if it was you, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I might have a little something for you. But today on the show, we have one of a prodigy of vernacular, okay? Artist of linguistics, okay? We have the most empowering, nurturing, just if the Grinch's heart was one size too small, she would make it 5 times too big. Miss Aisha, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good, AJ. How are you? You are just hilarious.
I'm good. I can't complain. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm getting to spend some time with you on a conversation. I'm about to make this steak for the first time. If any of you have ever made like an air fryer steak, let me know how y'all do it. I've never air fried a steak. I don't know if you grill them, but let me know. So, Miss Aisha. I don't know why I'm calling you Miss Aisha like we ain't buddies in pounds.
I mean, you're aging me right now. Like, that is not okay.
Right, because 28 is not old, okay?
Oh, well, see, now okay, so we're going to start at like 100 and just keep on going with the compliments. I love it.
Cool. So I take it you're having a pretty good day so far?
It's been a great one. No complaints.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can you give me a highlight or two of your week? Tell us something that's going on good in your life.
Ooh, okay. Well, I mean, it's always great when I get to wake up and try to be better than I was yesterday. It is always good for me when I get to spend some quality time on the phone or FaceTiming with my kiddos. Like that's important to me. It's always great when I get to hear my husband's voice on the other end or see his face light up a room. And it's always great to work at a company where you have found family, like true family. So those would be the things I'm most grateful for.
I like it. So it sounds like things are all around pretty good. It sounds like you're good with the family. Sounds like you're good with the love that you and your husband have, that things are good. You found you a nice company to work with, all of that cool stuff. Is that a fair guess?
Yep. You got it.
So I asked you to be on the show because I enjoy hearing your perspective on things. Sometimes people have very similar perspectives, and sometimes people's perspectives are way on the other side, and you're just like, well, how did you get there? A lot of the things that you said that I've heard in different settings, I can align with it. You know what I'm saying? It resides with me somewhere. So that's why I want you to be on the show. I like what you got to say.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I think it's always good. We have these, I feel like they're so organic. The conversations that we have, they're not scripted. Nobody rehearsed it. We might have in our mind a topic that we want to talk about, and then we either go deep in a way we didn't think we were going to go deep, or it moves into another direction, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I appreciate that. Your perspective is amazing too. I mean, so I don't want this to be like the one-way thing. I mean, when you open your mouth, it's like you talk about a lot of stuff. And the way that you convey your emotions and your passion behind it and the feeling that you have behind it is valuable too.
See, if I could, you'd have me blushing right now. All of these things. No, I definitely appreciate it, Aisha. I definitely do. So, I feel like you're a big family person. Like, I feel like family is definitely, if not the number one staple, then it might be competing with number one or somewhere, in the top two, and it might not be number two, as Miss Beyonce has said. So, if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us rather, like if you're having a bad day, right? What it is about your family that can help you have a better day, or like brighten it up, or like relieve some of the stressors that you have going on, and kind of paint that picture for us.
That's a good question. I would say if it were my husband and he were trying to elevate my mood, all he really has to do is bring it in. Say, hey, baby, how you doing? How was your day? And honestly, sometimes that quick pivot from where my mind was to where my mind has been ushered to.
Right.
If it's my kids are like all around silly people, but they are super, super, super supportive, very encouraging and positive. So if I said, I'm having a crappy day, or if they asked and I was like, my day could be a little bit better, they might say something like, oh, mama, don't you worry about it. You're going to be great tomorrow. Or, oh, mama, don't you worry about it. They just don't know. Or, oh, mama, don't you worry about it. Just take some time and reflect on it. It'll get better. I mean, they have a way of just helping me to not gloss over it, but not stay there to the point where my bad day becomes my bad rest of the day, my bad evening going into my bad next day.
Okay. That's really good. And I like how you brought up that the one bad day not transferring to the next day. Because that could affect your overall health. You know what I'm saying? Like carrying things that's making you feel bad or making you feel upset, like carrying that from day to day and not having a way to release it. You know what I mean? It's like having, excuse me, it's almost like having, we'll say a cinder block, right? So like you go through one day and then you got this cinder block of like, oh, well, such and such said this, or this happened at work, da 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 da. And then you say the next day, then you got another cinder block. And then that cycle continues on. And if you don't have that release, like you say, like when your husband greets you, or when your kids say, hey, like you're amazing, you're great, you're super dope, wouldn't trade you in for another mom. And then that's able to let you, drop those cinder blocks where they are and go about. I think that's really important.
I mean, it's huge. It's huge. And I don't know that we all recognize how big a deal that is. You can always, everybody's going to have a day. You're going to experience a moment or several moments in the day that are just heavy for you. It's too much. It's frustrating. Something made you mad. But I think there is value in, number one, reflecting on whatever that was. Two, giving your space to process whatever happened and how that made you feel. And then three, thinking about how you can change that so that you don't have that experience anymore. And then that way you can enjoy the rest of your day. Because bottom line is we can only control what we can control. We can't control what other people do, say, or think, but we can absolutely control how we respond, how we allow things to, impact us or affect us or shift the energy in the room. We have control over that.
So, and I'm sure you've heard this before as well. What you can control, you can control. And if you can't control it, don't stress about it. It's worded in different ways, but, right. So, like, when it comes to managing that, because, like, you never know how things are going to hit you or where it's going to come from. How do you handle something when it comes to you and it's something that's like out of your control? Like, how do you handle that to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about it, it's not in my control, how do you handle those situations?
Ooh, that's a real good question. It's a tough one, and I can only speak from what I've learned so far, and I'm positive that there's some more learning that I will have around how I navigate scenarios and circumstances that I feel like I can't control. But what I can say about what I've done so far is really just try to decide how I want to engage with something that has made me feel a way that I would prefer not feeling. It's put me in a mood. It's put me in a mindset, right? So I have to evaluate, okay, so how do I want to address this? Do I want to address this? Does it deserve my energy and my time or not? Because the reality is sometimes we encounter situations that we can't control no matter what. But we also don't want to just let it go. We don't want to just let it die. We have to find a way to navigate either through it or around it. So I think you have to give yourself time to decide, okay, is this something that requires my energy and my focus to either move around or move through? And once you've been able to determine that, then you can decide, okay, well, if this is really, bottom line, if I don't have to deal with this, and it's going to be better for me to just avoid it, then I'm just going to have to avoid it. I'm going to find a workaround. If I have to navigate my way through it, what way and what path is going to lead to the best outcome? Not necessarily the best outcome for me, because there may be other people that are a part of this whole equation, but you just got to think about what's going to be the best way for me to navigate out of this while keeping my mind sane, without losing my stuff on anybody, without coming so far out of character that I am viewed in a way that I don't want to be viewed. And that, like I said, it's hard, and it's a process that I think I've done a good job figuring out, but because I know how life is, I'm going to keep iterating that process, and I'm going to keep evolving in my thought process as it relates to responding to certain things or choosing to ignore them and keep it moving.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. Because I find myself, like when in situations that I can't control, like either stressing about it or giving it more attention than I should. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, I got to do something. And I don't want to necessarily say it's like a sense of helplessness, but it's more so like I'm used to being able to control a lot of things in my environment. And some things come around that I really can't control. It's like, okay, this is it's different. I don't like this kind of different. You definitely made some very valid points and gave some good insight. Because like when it comes to people, you can ignore them, go about your business, all of that. But when it's situations that you got to handle, it's like, okay, you got to have a little more tact, if you will.
Yeah. And sometimes the best thing that we can give ourselves is time, right? Time to really sit with what happened, how that made us feel, and time to think about and evaluate the options, right? Instead of being so put off by something that we respond or react right away. We didn't give ourselves enough time to really process, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. If I respond this way, then this might happen. So I think one of the best things that we can give ourselves is time. Put things and situations in a box or deal with it later. And that takes a lot of restraint, because sometimes we just want to respond or react in that moment. And the better thing to do in that moment is just to give it a little bit of room, go find something that we can, like, if it's mindless TV, if it's music, like whatever gives us a certain level of peace for a little bit and calm for a little bit, so that we can come down, from this place of being so frustrated, that we can think rationally and really weigh our options and consider, okay, if I do this, then this other thing is likely to happen as a result.
That makes sense. So if let's say you're on a trip, let's say you're on a girl's trip, y'all doing y'all thing, and one of the people on the trip, she gets to being a little out of character. So you get frustrated, different things like that. And, this is a girls trip, your family's not there to, normally how they would like greet you, say you're amazing, all of these different things. How would you decompress and get back centered with yourself in that type of situation? Like, would you, I don't know, like, some people go take shots, some people remove themselves from the group, some people go find something else to do. Like, how would you respond to that situation?
Well, that's interesting. I think something that usually happens is you find yourself, a different version of yourself when you're on these like girls trips and guys trips, right? Anyway, because the nature of that is you're more relaxed and you're around your homegirls or your guy friends or whatever the case might be. So that's going to just naturally put you in a different space. I think if one of my homegirls wigged out on me on a girls trip, we would have to have a chit chat, like a heart to heart, and figure out, what happened back there. I might wait until she's at a place of calm, because that would be the best scenario. And be like, hey, what happened back there? And maybe ask when I think it's a good time, but I'm not the one that gets to decide whether or not it's a good time. Because if I'm expecting feedback from the other person, they have to be a willing participant. She may not be in a good space at that moment. So I have to go into this conversation knowing that she might listen to what I have to say. She may not want to listen to what I have to say right now. And if it's the latter, I have to be mature enough to say, okay, not a problem. We can talk about this later and let it go. Because first of all, I'm not going on a girls trip with some girls or some women that I don't really have a real solid friendship with anyway. I don't really want to spend my time like that with a bunch of people I don't know. So our agreement is usually, if something happens, we'll be able to come back to it. But we're going to be respectful of each other enough to wait until it's a good time to come back to it. So I firmly believe in addressing it, but you just have to know the right timing in which to do that.
That makes sense.
Sense. Yeah. What would you do?
It's hard to say. And I'll admit that some of it's cultural. I'm not gonna say I'm immature, but we'll just say not being entirely mature. Then it depends on the situation. Like if it's something that I feel is intentional, then I'm gonna handle it differently. If it was something that I feel was intentional, so that's the mature piece of it. The immature piece of it is if it was done intentionally, I'm gonna win, whatever it is. So if you intentionally like try to calm me out of somebody, or you massage yourself or whatever, like say we out at the club, there's some young lady over there, she looks well put together, and you feel that she there either by herself or with her girls and friends, whatever the case, and somebody gets talking like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, speaking on themselves, but like way towards me, and I'm just minding my business, trying to have a good time. And I got to embarrass you in front of everybody. Over, talk to the young lady. We'll have a lovely conversation. And now you look stupid. So it just kind of it depends. I feel like if it was unintentional, like I don't know, we'll say a joke that might have been carried the wrong way, then there's something I could just brush off. Like, oh, maybe we don't know each other that well, that maybe, I don't know, it was something that happened in the meantime while we weren't speaking, but we still cool, that something kind of went off the line. I could just brush it off and go about our days. But I would say that the main thing, unfortunately, that was my response was their intent behind whatever it was that was stopping.
It does. And I think the reliance right there is that you are expecting whoever may have done something to be honest about their intention, right? Yeah, well, we know that ain't always true. Sometimes when you uncover people, they want to pretend like it wasn't intentional. You just like, yeah, I was 100% intentional, but okay.
So I feel like from conversations that we've had in the past and even some we had prior to recording this video, that you've experienced life. Some ups, some downs, some good, some sideways, whatever. I feel like, you know, these experiences in my life, you learn some things, you pick up some wisdom, all of that. And the reason I preface it like that is because, you know, I haven't lived a whole lot of life. You know, like I went to school, and then I went to school again, and now I'm here working as an adult. And, you know, that's fairly recent. So, what would you say, or what would you label? Like you're giving an acceptance speech, and you're like, these are like the top things that I don't want to say like were accomplishments, but that you're most grateful for that happened to you throughout your, you know what I'm saying, your experience of life. Like, what would you say that those things would be?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think I would have to say there are probably a lot of lessons I can draw from, a lot of experiences that I could probably like recount. But I think right now what's coming up for me is just learning through grace. My kids have taught me a bunch, only because, you know, my children are between 22 and 16. And there are 5 of them, 5 whole humans that I had the privilege to carry and look after and be mama bear for, and then be the rock star cheerleader for. To this day, that doesn't change. You know, whether you're 22 or 16 or in between, it's still the same. But one thing I've learned in my journey as a mom is that they're all different. They're all different, and they all need different things, and they all need different things at different stages and seasons of their life. But just as they need different things at different stages and seasons of their life, so do I. So I was raised, you know, in the school of you do what I say, and this is what's happening, and you're not going to ask me a bunch of questions, and I'm not making 3 and 4 different versions of a dinner meal. You're going to eat what I prepared, or you can go hungry and go to bed. Like, that was the space I was raised in. That's not a slight on my mom. My mom is a rock star. She did an amazing job as a single mother of 4 kids. But she was not the one to give us a lot of options and to handle us with this nurturing kind of grace. She handled us with this worldly kind of, I want you to be prepared for the world kind of grace. And what I quickly realized as a mother is that I can't parent my children that way. I had to parent them the way that I felt was best to parent them, which is different, right? Because oftentimes you do what you experience. And in trying to parent them, in trying to support them, encourage them, correct them, and love them, I've learned that it all has to be delivered in a way that's gracious to them, meaning not soft, not, like blind. It's not like I ignore things that should be addressed. So I'm all about addressing some things, but the way that I care for them is very different. And they recognize that. They recognize that I do that with each of them. They recognize that I do that for them specifically and generally. And then I've recognized that in my life, I've needed to do the same thing, not just with my kids, but with other people. I need to handle certain relationships with grace. I need to move through certain experiences with grace. I need to embrace certain challenges with grace. And grace in those settings has a different meaning depending on what it is and who it is. But I think that is what I've learned, that I can't approach everything the same. I can't approach everyone the same. I can't be dismissive, nor can I be super welcoming about just anything and everything. But I have to use wisdom in those areas. And I just really think that, as a mom, there's like I said, there's a ton that I've learned. that I'm positive I would have never learned if I had not had to care for 5 different humans that think differently, behave differently. They have different aspirations. They have different things that are triggers for them. They have different things that they need in life. And so it's been a great journey. It's been a really good journey, and we continue to go on that journey together. And they're always like, oh my God, mom, you're cool, but mom, you're strict, or mommy this and mommy that, and we don't always see eye to eye, but we're not meant to be eye to eye all the time. I don't even expect that. But I think that lesson in grace is what I can carry from all of these things, and I'm thankful for that. I'm super thankful for having that wisdom to understand that it's important.
Yes. It's always hard to talk after you have something like dropping. But luckily, I came somewhat prepared this time. I was like, I want to talk about this and this.
Okay.
So I had a contingency plan because I knew he was going to have some of the moments. But before I get to my next question, it made me, when you were speaking about like how you have 5 different children, how they all have their own personalities and all of that. Does that require you to mother differently to them, like depending on which kid that you're working with? Like how do you mother differently if you do, without another feeling like they aren't being treated the same?
Yeah. Well, that's so funny because if you ask them, does your mom have a favorite? They'll say, yeah, she has a favorite. And I'll be like, no, I don't. I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite.
Mom answer. We know y'all got favorites.
Y'all say that. I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite. I can tell you that, I have one kid who was like super protective. I have another kid who's extraordinarily compassionate. I have another kid who was like a walking bomb. I have another kid who, and it depends on the day. And it also depends on the time of day, because you might get different versions of them. I got a Gemini, I got a Cancer, I got all kinds of things, and they live into these different versions of themselves at different times of the day and different times of the year. I think what I've had to figure out is really being the mom that I want to be to them requires me to constantly work and grow on myself personally. So I need to work on myself all the time. I need to grow, in my mindset, grow in my thought process, grow in the way that I approach things. It requires, evolution and maturity almost daily, right? So I don't think being a mom is any different than anything else you would do in life. You would try to just be better than you were the day before. And that's what I try to do. I do recognize that all of my kids need something different. And I have never been the one to put them in a box. And I tell my kids all the time, I tell them to this day, I'm like, I'm not perfect. And however I parented you when you were a baby is what you needed at that time. And that's what I was able to give. How I parent you now is different because you need something different from me. And I'm able to give you that because over time, if I say I'm super proud about being a mom and I'm so thankful for being a mom because I realize that there are a lot of people that desire that same thing but have other, obstacles and challenges or experiences that don't allow them that same opportunity. I don't take it for granted. So to the extent that I acknowledge this is a space where I'm given the privilege to care for these humans. It's not a coffee pot, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, if it breaks, it's just not going to be a big deal. I mean, that's a person filled with emotions and all these things. Then I have to go about living in that the way that they need. So I do recognize that they all need different things and they all need it at different times. And I don't think that part of me is ever going to change. My husband says often, he's like, you a mom first. Like, I know you my wife, but he's like, those babies right there, Mm-mm. And he's right to a certain degree, you know, like that's my man and I play no games with my man, but at the same time, like that's that it's never gonna change. My mom is that way with me. You know, I'm in my 40s. My mom is that way with me. It doesn't matter. She's like, no, that's my baby right there. So you can, I'm gonna need you to understand. I think I saw something on TikTok. You mess with her, you missing me. Right? So that's what we're talking about right now. That's right. I sent my kids this me. I found this meme and I sent it to them. It was like when everybody was talking about whether or not they were gonna send their kids back to school. And it's one thing, this little girl was too cute. But the language said, my mama said, she is not going to experiment with the coronavirus school or whatever it was. And that's how it was with my kids. I told my kids, I said, oh, no. You won't be going into that building. Mm-hmm. Right. It won't happen. Not now. No. Maybe later. But for right now, you're going to stay right at home. It doesn't matter. We're not doing that because I don't want you to bring that back here. And I don't want to have to go up there. Right. The last thing you want me to do. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to we're going to let this thing do what it needs to do. And we're going to be safe and use wisdom. But you won't be going there. We won't be doing experiments.
So you're Mama Bear. Everybody's Mama Bear. So I have a I won't say short, mini question for you. Could be controversial for the viewers out there. So I'm letting you know right now. All right.
Okay.
On a previous episode, and I got that person's response. I'm gonna get your response.
Okay.
And y'all go on vacation. You decide you're gonna take a cruise. Boat crashes. It's like the Titanic, right? You can either save the kids or save your husband.
Wow. I can only save the kids or my husband.
Yep.
My expectation would be, because he's stronger than I am, he's much bigger than I am. So I figure if I save him, he can save them. Because you just said, who would I save? So if I reach out for his arm, I'm expecting him to keep that human chain going. That's right. I'm going to save the strongest person to reel in all of these other humans. So that would be my answer. I think the operative word when you said I can only save, I was trying to be slick with my answer.
Hey, look, I'm not mad at you. You did what you were supposed to do. You saved, and fortunately, they was able to save everybody else. Everybody makes it home safe, and now y'all got a story to tell come Christmas.
Right.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. And so, you know me, I can ask motherly and parenthood and all types of questions like that for days. But I don't want to keep it just restricted to that, because I know there's other areas. There's more to you than just being a mom. Even though that's something that you do love, there's more to you than just being a mom. So what are some other interests that you have that fulfill you?
I love to write. I love to write, and I do it all the time. I have no idea what I'm going to do with what I've written, but for right now, just writing and inking some thoughts that come to mind has been great. I love that. I love traveling. I love exploring things. I go on trips as often as I can. And most of the time I'm taking my kids, or my husband and I will go, because I think, there's so much more to the day-to-day. And I feel like exposing, either experiencing that with my husband or exposing my kids to that is beautiful, because you always have something. You're always going to remember that. I don't remember a lot of the gifts that I received over my lifetime, but I remember every single trip I took, even, from childhood. So I like having those experiences. I love to cook. I am like a Pinterest junkie. I'm going to find something on Pinterest, and I don't mind if it doesn't come out good. I'm fine with throwing it away.
But you have the experience to try it.
That's right. And sometimes at the end of a long day from work, I'll turn on some music and I will cook and it might be good, or I might throw it out and get takeout. But that is a way that works for me. And I love that. I love the seasons. I love the change of the seasons. I love going from winter to spring to summer and then fall. Like, I love living in each of those seasons because I think each of them brings so much beauty and uniqueness that another season doesn't have. And I love like hanging out with my homegirls, or, you know, like, we have such good time together. We really enjoy each other's company. We have this big old huge village, and I'm an auntie to I don't know how many kids. They're aunties, I don't know how many kids, and we just keep spreading the love, and it's just been amazing. So I love those things.
That's really beautiful. So what would you say your favorite season is?
Fall. Yeah, fall is, first of all, I love the fact that during fall, like the weather, because I grew up in Chicago, so the winters were brutal, and spring was a joke because it was just, okay, so what? The snow is gone, you know, it's not on the ground anymore, but it's still relatively cool outside. And then the summers were kind of brief. So what I've always loved about fall is that you can really go outside with a light jacket or not a jacket at all. You can see all the different colors of foliage, you know, the trees, the grass, the flowers. There are 1,000,001 activities, you know, and things to do during fall. You can take walks, you can go to the museum. They still have festivals when it's fall, you know, farmers markets and stuff like that. Football, of course. So that to me is huge. And I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. I've loved it because my sons played football for such a long time. So that became a part of the fabric of our family. Now that they're older and they don't love playing it, they still love it. So we'll watch football games together, and I'll say, hey, what kind of football food do you guys want me to make? Because that's a whole thing, you know, like the kind of football food you make. So I love that. I love that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So should we be on the lookout for a book coming from you sometime in the future, since you have all the writing that you've done, the writing that you're doing? Should we be on the lookout? Because if so, we can tell the people, you know, that you about to be published. They need to go on and get in before the price goes too before the price goes too far up for a few people's pockets. You know, when they're still the soft backs, not the hard backs of the book.
Right. But you know, it's so funny. One of my best girlfriends, she writes a bunch too. She's been in communications for a long time, and she actually helps people ghostwrite. But she ghostwrites for other people, their books and their journals and things like that. So we have talked for a couple years now about whether or not I would do something like that. And the answer to the question is yes, but I have no idea on the timing, because then it's all about carving out that time to sit down and really put those ideas on paper and really move forward with it. But I do know that at some point that is going to be something I want to do. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. But yes, the folks can keep an ear out, because it will come.
I like it. And when it does come out, I want you to inform me so I can pay full price. And then we're gonna have a link in the description. We might do a little feature on the show to talk about it. But like I said, let me know. Don't offer no discount. Don't tell me about no promo code. We paying you what you worth. You put your hard work into it. I'm speaking it into existence for you. It's gonna be on Amazon. People gonna get the audio version, whatever the case. All right. So just keep me posted on that whenever that does come out.
Hey, I like that. I like that energy. I feel that energy. I like that. I appreciate that.
Of course. So let's talk about professional stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just a tiddly bit. You know me, I'm a casual fella, so I'm not always businessy. But when it comes to the professional world, and you know, working and all of that jazz, if you had to, with the different experiences that you had, you know, like your current job, former jobs, ventures you may have had, to the person that's in high school, right? And they're like, I'll use me for an example. When I was in high school, we either had the community colleges coming in to talk to us, or we had people from the Army and the Navy and the Marines come and talk to us. But that was pretty much it for the most part when I was in high school. And so due to that, I'll say limited exposure, I didn't have a clear picture of like what I wanted to do post graduation. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh, well, I feel like I should go to college, but I didn't know. You're like, oh well, if you don't go to college, here are options, or if you do go to college, here are some options. You know what I'm saying? All of those different paths that people can take. So with the experiences that you've had, speaking to someone that's in high school, and they are, well, whether they just now getting there, they're getting ready to graduate, whatever the case, what's something that you would give them, you know what I'm saying, as far as knowledge goes, that you've picked up over the time that you've had?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's another area where I've matured in just options and providing options, right? So I think that sometimes we have this belief that what we do for our profession and what we study in college is going to be the same as what we're passionate about. And sometimes that's not the case. So I would first start by asking them, what do they enjoy doing? And then they would take their time telling me about what they enjoy doing. And then I would ask them, what are their favorite classes? And then they would take their time telling me what their favorite classes are. You may find that their favorite classes align with what they enjoy doing. And then that's an easier way to identify pathing options. If you find that what they enjoy doing and their favorite class are not the same, then you're talking to someone whose heart work and whose head work is a little different. So their pathing suggestions are going to be different, right? So if I'm just talking to someone who likes to write and they're thinking about, oh, I might want to go to school and be an English major. Well, why do you want to be an English major? Well, I was thinking about maybe going into communications or whatever. Well, so there's a couple different ways you can get to communications if you like to write. So we can explore all of those different options, knowing that real world experience is going to help determine whether or not that's something you want to do long term. But at least it's a start for a conversation in terms of what you want to do after high school. If I'm talking to someone who loves to write, but is passionate about art and the expression of art, then we're not just looking at a liberal arts institution. We're looking at something that's a little bit more encompassing. And so those conversations are going to be different. And I think for me, my encouragement has been, for example, to my children and to other kids I've had the pleasure of mentoring is identify what you're passionate about. Like what makes your heart leap? What fills your cup? And then think about the classes that you've taken that you are, arguably one of the top performers in that class. And are those things the same or are those things different? And I think if we can get to a place where we allow people to explore the different parts of them in that way, they may find more fulfillment in what they choose to do and what school they choose to go to. I don't think we've ever explored it that way. I think, and I can't say definitively that that's the reason why a lot of times people go to college and their major is so different than what they end up doing later. But I feel like there is a connection, right? Because there's something in us that matures over time. There's something in us that develops over time. And the more we invest in that and make those deposits, the more that's going to grow. But that could be something that you're just truly passionate about. Like what I'm passionate about doing is not the same as what I do professionally. And it took me a long time to articulate that and really identify it. Because I would think that, okay, well, I'm going to go down this path for a profession. And then I started dabbling in it. I'm like, I don't really like that. I like it because I love it and it fills my cup, but I probably don't want to do that for work. Or Or the more realistic version is you look at how much what you're passionate about pays, because that informs your lifestyle. And you're like, okay, well, wait a minute. I can't quite do that because that means where am I going to food shop? I'm going to pay my bills. Yeah. And so I think we have to be realistic with people and let them know those two may not be the same. And if they're not the same, that's all right. And if they're not the same, what does that mean for you? And if they're not the same, what options can you explore? Because there are a bunch of them. There are a bunch of them. But I think giving them the freedom and letting them know that it's okay to have those different things, kind of working in tandem, they can get them to a different place. We might see a shift in what people decide to do after high school.
You put out this book. It'll be hot.
Oh, man. I gotta see.
So before I get to my next little piece, I do want to say that good advice or good insight, rather, I won't even limit advice. Good insight is transferable. You know what I mean? Like, the question that I asked you was like, what would you say to someone who's in high school, getting ready to make the transition out of high school? But I feel like a lot of what you said goes beyond that. Like, it can be before high school, and it could be pertaining to sports or like extracurricular activities. It could be after high school, and it's like, oh, well, do I really want to be an entrepreneur, or do I want to like go be a botanist? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's very transferable, and it's moldable and malleable depending on what setting you're in and where you are in life. So I point that out, that you're giving it out you're dropping some gems, okay? Hey,
bam. Bam. Well, I think we can't be rigid, right? If we give this perception that everything is etched in stone, and the moment you make a decision, you can't change your mind, what are we doing? We're not setting people up for success. We're not giving them truth about where they are, where they could go, what that could look like. Like, we're not doing that. And I think if the pandemic has taught us, it's taught us a lot of things, to be honest, if we all sit down and think about it. But there's something that I believe is a tangible we can walk away with, is the knowledge that we don't all have to go to these 4-year institutions. Some of us do, some of us don't. We don't all have to sit in the building and learn, even if that's where we go. Some of us do, some of us don't. We don't all have to take these paths that we think are going to lead us to these other places. We need to be flexible. We need to be able to pivot. We need to be innovative in our thought process. We need to really start thinking about things from a different perspective. And I believe that for some, it's going to really help, because perhaps we weren't always looking at it from that angle.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Have you heard when your passion aligns with your purpose, then you'll be like, for lack of better words, like, you'll be happy with like what you're doing day to day?
I've heard that.
Yeah, so like, not necessarily what's your opinion on that, because I feel like from what you were just saying, I feel like you pretty much agree with that statement. But would you say that you have found your purpose and passion? And if you have, like, not how long did it take you to get there, but what was that journey looking like for you to find it? And if you haven't, found your purpose and your passion aligning, then are you trying to find ways to figure out where they do intersect?
That's a great question. No, I'm a firm believer that I found, I've identified what I'm passionate about. I am most passionate about empowering women, because I believe that empowered women do empower women. It doesn't mean that in that belief, I'm limiting my area of influence and my reach of influence to just women. So I don't want anyone to feel like I'm excluding them from something. I just think that when it comes to my personal experiences, reflecting on all those experiences that I had, I'm in a really good space to be able to empower another woman on a variety of things, whether it's being a mom, being a wife, being in the workplace, being a Black woman, being a young Black woman, it just, the list could go on and on and on and on and on. And for me, that is what fills my cup. When I'm able to talk to another woman about something she wants to do, or about something she wants to become, or about a dream that she has, or about goals that she's working on, or if we're just talking, period, and something comes up, I want to be able to help elevate you. And I believe that to me it's so important. It's so important. I mean, it gives me so much life. It makes me sit upright and take on a different posture. Like, I love that. I absolutely love it. I think sometimes in some circles, we don't have enough of that. And I think we need it. And I think sometimes you have these circles where, women of color need it. And then you have where women in general need it. So I'm not limiting myself to just being this person in this one circle box. That's not what I want to be. And that's never where I find myself anyway. My area of influence and the people that I'm around, they come from all walks of life with all kinds of experiences and some beautiful stories to tell. And it would be a shame for me to limit myself to people that just look like me. But I also know that there's a uniqueness that I find in some of those circles with other women that look like me. There's a different kind of shared experience and story that we can talk to one another about. But in general, my passion is empowering women, because I believe that empowered women empower other women. And I think that just continues on. Having 3 daughters, it's so important to me that this is what we do. And for my girls, to see them, that's what they embody. And I love it. It radiates from the inside with them. And it makes me so proud.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, excuse me. So is there anything that you're doing either like actively now or like pre-pandemic that was allowing you the space to empower women?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. I would absolutely say so. I think I avail myself in different ways to different women of all ages. I'll be a coach for Girls on the Run, which I did that for years. I will be a mentor to other young ladies.
Let's step back. Did you say Girls on the Run?
Yeah.
Girls on the Run. This sounds illegal.
No. It's a running club.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a running club for elementary school age girls. Oh my God, we get them moving. But in that program, it's really about, girl empowerment. That's the crux of it, really. That's the foundation of it. And it's amazing. So I've done that for a couple of seasons, several seasons actually, been a coach for that. Mentoring, young ladies in high school. Also am a mentor to, grown women now at the job. So I'm a mentor. I have 2 ladies that I'm a mentor to. So that's pretty awesome. So it's a professional mentorship relationship. And I just continue to, whenever there's an opportunity, and if I feel like that opportunity, there's a good fit there and there's some good energy there, then I'm signing up for it.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. So let's say that you're, it's a new season, getting ready to be a coach for Girls on the Run. Some young ladies sign up, maybe their mothers sign them up, whatever the case. And then you notice that there's some toxic femininity going on. How do you, I don't want to say how do you deal with that, but how do you work with the young ladies to help them have healthier relationships and healthier outlook with other women that they're around?
Right. Well, I think that's important. And I think that happens quite often in those sort of dynamics that you just described. And I believe that one of the ways to help encourage different attitudes and different responses, is to model that. And I can recall times, obviously you have these girls who sometimes in school settings, they're not friends with each other in the school setting, i.e. they're not eating lunch together, they're not going to recess together, they're not doing those sorts of things together. So Girls on the Run might be their first opportunity to do that. And it's nice if they leave that program with new friends. What's also nice is if they leave that program being a better version of themselves before they got there. So for me, my approach would be, let's start with the individual. I don't want to try to force anybody into a relationship that doesn't work. I don't want to force you to do all those things, but I am going to encourage you to do something that's very simple, which is to be kind to other people. And if you can start with that, then I think that's a good foundation to help people see things in themselves that they may not have recognized before, and offer ways to suggest change or encourage growth, or both. And I believe that if you do that in a way that doesn't cause them to be offended, then you have, you're in a good place to see these young ladies blossom into the young ladies that you want them to be, because you don't want all of that toxicity and that cattiness to just kind of live and reside there. Because I know, as you get older, if you started out, I think my grandmother used to say, the messy little girl grows up to be a messy grown woman. That was what she said. And she didn't mince words. She didn't mince words. Maudie Holly did not mince words. She told the truth. And it didn't matter if you didn't like her truth, it was the truth nonetheless. And that's true. People with those sorts of habits, if those habits are left unchecked and unaddressed, then they're going to grow up with those same habits. So I would just try to, find gentle ways to allow them to see themselves in those scenarios, and then offer up ways to do better.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's a really good, a really good way to handle that. It's like on the individual level, as opposed to being like, y'all need to be friends and y'all gotta work this out. That doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember when my teachers used to do that to me, I was like, you're not gonna make me be that little girlfriend. I don't want to be that little girlfriend.
Right. Like, she picked her nose. I don't want to. She's good over there.
Like, I don't like her. I don't like her.
Exactly.
That was the back in the day, Aisha. That was the unrefined one. The one who did, But when you know better, you do better.
That's beautiful. So with the new, well, I won't say new, with the refined, what would you say was one of the not a major growth point for you, but where an area about yourself that you were happy either grew or matured, or something you left behind? Like, what aspect of young Aisha to mature, refined Aisha would you say was the most thing that you're grateful for that shifted?
Yeah. I think that I can say without a doubt, knowing that it's up to me, I get to choose how to respond to things and to people. And I also get to choose whether or not I want to. So the part of me that needed growth was the part of me that thought something that somebody said or something that somebody did required a response from me, therefore requiring some level of my energy. As I got older and started to recognize that certain scenarios just put me in the wrong headspace, certain things that people said or did just made me feel a different kind of way, and I could see my mood shift drastically as a result, I was like, no, I get to choose. And in this moment, I'm choosing that I am not going to give you my time. I am not going to give that my time. I'm not going to give you my energy. I'm not going to give that my energy. And I set boundaries and I didn't budge. I just didn't, because at the end of the day, responding to those things didn't help me. It didn't help any situations. All I'm doing, it's almost like there's a transference of energy, right? So I'm just accepting somebody else's, jacked up energy and embracing it like it's my own and responding to them in kind, which takes me out of character, messes up my day, or gives me a headache, or, I talk about it on the phone with my friends, and I'm like, no, like, you know what? I'm going to let that person have their space because apparently they need that. Or I'm just going to let that situation be that because that's what needs to happen there. I can choose to walk away. I can choose to ignore it. I can choose to move. I can do all sorts of things. But what I don't have to do is get on somebody else's level, lowering myself, or respond to something that causes me to behave in a way that's just not becoming of me. I mean, that's one of those things is like when you recognize that you've grown in an area, why go back to a place of immaturity? Why go back to a place that makes you angry or sad or frustrated or something like that? It's like, yeah, there's too much good life to live out here than to be in a space like that. So that's what I've learned. And from that, I'll cut folk off in a minute. It don't matter. I will ignore a situation. Like, oh my God. And the other part of it is I think you have to teach people how to treat you. And so when you have hard and fast rules about how you want to be treated, it's easy. It becomes easy or easier. But yeah.
I like that. So have you ever heard someone use a phrase like, oh, they woke up and chose violence today?
Yes.
So it sounds to me like at one point, not that you were choosing violence, but that you weren't necessarily making a choice when you woke up or when you encountered these situations. And not unique to you, shoot. I've been in my own little areas where I didn't make a conscious or active choice or decision. But it sounds like once you realized where you liked being, as far as like your head space, your emotional space, and all of that stuff, and then you recognize that you had the power to control that you woke up and you chose you. That you woke up and you chose serenity, calm, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's a really good. I think that's beautiful. Something happened that I'm like, anarchy, I'm burning everything down. You can get it. And then other days, I'm like, you know what? We'll stop. Bye-bye. And all of that shit. Yeah. So what would you say helped you understand that you were in control of your emotions, that you were in control of your headspace, and allowed you the ability to choose yourself and choose your peace rather than choosing to respond or not choosing at all and then just going how the day takes you?
Yeah, I think that I've always recognized that I can choose. My issue was not making the right choice. I've always known that it's up to me to decide how I'm going to respond. And sometimes in those earlier moments, I may have thought I was right. Right? I know I'm right. I know I'm right. And so you assert yourself or you just continue to pursue these unhealthy patterns because you're trying to choose to be right, but what you're really forsaking in that moment is your peace. And once I really got to a point where I recognize I'm not giving up my power and my peace just to be right. I know I'm right. Why would I spend my time and my energy trying to prove myself to someone or a group of someone's, and at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't care about my mental health like I should care about my mental health. They don't care about my future like I should care about my future. So, that required a shift. It's like, I'm not going to keep giving up my power to choose, my power to be at peace, my power to exercise all of these different gifts and things the way that that I would want to, by simply engaging with someone or in a scenario that's going to take me outside of that space. So I just had to choose it. And it was a struggle because it took me a long time. Like every day I wake up like, okay, I will choose to be peaceful. And then I see something, I'm just like, ah! And I'm screaming on the inside. But every single day, I believe that I'm going to bed at night and I'm waking up in the morning with an opportunity to be a better version of myself. So as maybe Monday morning, I woke up and by 9 a.m., I was at 100. I'm like, okay, I got to do better on Tuesday. Tuesday, I wake up, I get to make it to 11 a.m. before somebody pisses me off. And I'm like, woo, I made it to 11 a.m. All right, Wednesday, come on, what you got Wednesday? And then I get to Wednesday, and every day I learn. And then I also, in that process, because I'm trying to recognize what these triggers are, like, what are these things that make me feel this way? Well, I'm going to ignore those things. If it's an email from a certain somebody, I'm going to save that email to the end of the day, or I'll save it for another 2 days, or I'll just get to it when I get to it or not. Or if it's a certain person, I don't need to talk to that person. I don't need to talk to that person. That's self-discipline, right? Or if it's a meeting, oh my God, I hate this meeting. But the meeting happens every week. You can't be mad and enraged every week. You're going to kill yourself. So you have to just talk to yourself. You got to wake up with whatever it is I listen to gospel music in the morning because that gets me in the right headspace. I like to hold that close to me. And I can tell when I woke up too soon and I didn't get a chance to listen to my gospel music and I feel like I'm a little off. I try to take a moment to get back to center because I need that. And I think it's healthy for everybody when you recognize, number one, that you have the power. You have it. And the only reason you might feel like you don't have it is because at some point you might have given it away. So you need to go back and reclaim that. And then recognizing what those triggers are for you. Those situations, those people, put them in a box. You decide how you're going to deal with those people or those situations or not at all. Again, that's exercising your power. And then every day, wake up with the mindset on trying to be a better version of yourself than you were the day before, and really take time to reflect on what moments were not my highest moments the day before and try to do better.
I like it. I'm hearing a lot of, intentionality, right? Being active and being intentional about like your peace, your mental health, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what stresses you out, and finding that there's more to your center than just saying like, I want to be happy. Like to find your center, it's like to find it. Like just finding everything else. You got to dig. You got to do a little research. You got to put some work behind it, right? Mm-hmm. Have not only the patience, but also like the fortitude to stand in whatever it is that your truth is. So like how you said, like you want to start your day with some gospel. You want to wake up at a certain time. All of that stuff, like, and being able to stick to that. Like sometimes people might want you up early or want you up later, or that, can we listen to this and can we listen to that? And, having that strength and resilience, like, this still works for me. And it's, but this is what's going to keep me right. This is what's going to sustain me and all of that. So now that's yeah, I probably done said it 100 times. That's beautiful.
You remind me of Eddie Murphy. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, we're all on this journey. We are all on this journey, and our journey, everybody's journey looks different because they're motivated by different experiences, different moments within those experiences. And it's our responsibility to own it, the good and the bad of it, the ugly and the beautiful of it. We get to own it, and we get to make it better. We get to iterate it every day. Every day. That's the beautiful thing, that God blesses us with the opportunity to wake up another day and be a better version of ourselves than we were the day before, to be a better person to other people than we were the day before.
You always got the mic drops. Really good. You really be coming with the hits. But I want to thank you for your time, Aisha. As always, your insight was tremendous. Your vernacular was amazing. Okay, the loquacious manner in which you delivered your message and your content was just truly magnificent. More than a pleasure having you on the show with me tonight.
Oh my God. Well, AJ, I appreciate it. Thank you. The conversation with you is always amazing. So I'm super excited that you invited me on your show. Hey, I love it. And I want to hear about the state. I want to hear how it came out.
About the state. Soon as I get that first bite, I'm sending you a text.
Please text the sister and let her know.
I don't in my mouth. We gonna see how it turns out. But YouTube, this has been another episode of Unscripted Conversations. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, tell a friend to tell a friend. But with that, yeah.